What's up, everybody? I'm back with my review of episode 5 of Convicting a Murderer, which is airing on Daily Wire Plus. It is the rebuttal series to Netflix's Making a Murderer. Now, this episode is this is the write-up from the Daily Wire, Andrew Colburn and James Lank's participation in Avery's $36 million lawsuit was apparently enough motivation for them to be accused of planting evidence, but their involvement, along with all of the Manitowoc County's support in the investigation, wasn't the full story. Now, the episode opens up with Ken Kratz. He's talking about Andy, who is rookie online. I know he got rid of his Twitter, but did he get rid of everything? Does he have a new Twitter? Did he get rid of all of his social media? Andy, of course, is one of the truthers. He's very revered in the Making a Murderer online community. Ken Kratz says he doesn't see this as much of a debate, but a chance to educate Andy. The debate looks like it's gonna get heated. Ken Kratz seems to get heated, and this is just the intro for the episode. Spoiler alert. They don't actually get into the heated part of the debate in this episode. I was very upset. Candace Owens states that Making a Murderer left everyone with more questions than answers. Thomas Fassbender talks about his career in law enforcement, talks about getting the call about Teresa Halbach's RAV4 being found, said that before this he had never been to Avery salvage yard in his life. They talk about how Calumet County started the investigation into Teresa Halbach, and Manitowoc County was involved because the RAV4 was found in their jurisdiction. Andrew Colburn talks about how he got the call to come to work when the RAV4 was found to provide security at the Avery salvage yard. Talks about how Manitowoc County was going to back out because of how it would look if Manitowoc County's Sheriff Department was again looking into the Avery family. That's a quote directly from Andrew Colburn. The show clips of Peggle talking about how he states Manitowoc was going to be involved in the search. They're showing it from previous times, like they're showing that he talked about it on multiple various days. I forget the dates, but he talks about it on multiple dates, stating that Manitowoc was going to be involved in the search. Then they show Brenda, who blocks people online that she doesn't agree with, and Candace Owens talking about this. They are airing it like it's okay that the people he's suing are now investigating him. What a wild take. Imagine they're not exactly suing Colburn or Lank, they're suing the department. Let's be clear about that. Or I say they, Stephen Avery is suing the department. He's not actually suing Andrew Colburn or James Lake. But imagine somebody that's working for the department that you have an active lawsuit open against, and then them coming to your home to search for evidence and stuff. Like, that's a bizarre take. I get that it's a small county and their options are probably limited, but you should probably figure it out. Figure out someone else to come do the search. Daniel Donald states that the place was swarming with law enforcement from all over. All right, so that means that the department that is being sued, which is Manitowoc County's Sheriff Department, didn't really need to be involved at all because they had enough people there from all over. He states the place was swarming with law enforcement. So that means the tiny department, Candace Owens states later in this doc, or at some point in this doc, how small the Sheriff Department is. So that means they don't need to be involved at all if the place is swarming with police. Again, according to Dan. Candace Owens talks about how Manitowoc County made the decision that someone was supposed to be with their investigators, their searchers, at all times while they search, to avoid a conflict of interest. She states that Manitowoc County made that decision themselves. I'm totally sure, wink wink, that, someone higher up wasn't like, you guys probably shouldn't be involved in this investigation. And if they truly did care how it looked, they would have backed out completely. Because according to Dan O'Donnell, there was more than enough law enforcement in the area already. So why did they even have to be involved at all? I understand it's their jurisdiction. But if they are concerned about how things look, and there is really that many people, that much law enforcement swarming the Avery salvage yard, they didn't really have to be there anyway. They talk about the attempt to conceal the RAV4. Again, whoever did it, for whatever reason it was done, it is the worst concealment job of all time, which may or may not have been the point. Ken Kratz states why camouflage it if they wanted it to be found. That's an easy answer, in my opinion. They state that it was the only car that was camouflaged, that was attempted to be hidden on the Avery salvage yard. So it's allegedly going to stand out. So they send Pam in, allegedly, they send Pam in to look for the vehicle that is covered, and if it's the only one that's covered on the Avery salvage yard, it's gonna stand out. So maybe, allegedly, that's how Pam found it so quickly, because she spotted the poorly covered up car. I don't know. Allegedly, they talk about finding the license plate somewhere else on the salvage yard that were taken off Teresa Halbach's RAV4. They said they were not able to find any DNA on the plates. And then they show a clip of Brenda with a box. And I just realized, I don't think they revealed what was inside the box. Brenda, what's in the box? She's talking about the license plates at the time, so it's probably the license plate. But where was the big reveal? Maybe coming in another episode, I guess. What's in the box? Candace Owens talks about how you would have wanted to leave the plates on the car if it was a setup, alluding to the fact about how the plates were pulled off the RAV4 and bent. Thomas Fassbender talks about how the blood in the RAV4 was initially hard to see because it was dried and darker. They talk about how Sergeant Tyson was supposed to supervise 3 Manitowoc County officers while they searched Stephen Avery's trailer. They show an old clip of Tyson that said he did this to the best of his ability. Fassbender talks about how, though he didn't know at the time that Colburn and Lenk were deposed a few weeks earlier, he still would have had sent them into Avery's home to search, which is wild. They were deposed in a civil lawsuit that Stephen Avery was bringing against Manitowoc County. They weren't being sued directly, of course, but they worked for the department. They worked for Manitowoc, and Manitowoc County was being sued. Even if that is all true, what they're stating, that like it wasn't a big deal, what a wild concept, and what a wild thing to do legally. You want people to stop thinking you're corrupt? Stop doing stupid things. Woo! I love how Candace Owens tries. She fails, but she tries. She gets an A for effort. Tries to make this seem okay. She's talking about how people thought that James Lenk and Andrew Colburn were going to have to pay the $36 million themselves. No one thought that. Or at least I didn't think that. And I don't think anybody actually thinks that when you sue somebody, they are the ones that pay. Not in that type of situation. It's a ridiculous thing to say. The insurance company that covers the county would have had to pay, which likely didn't have $36 million. Or maybe they did. I don't know who the insurance company was. They talk about the 1995 Andrew Colburn phone call. Candace plays it off that it wasn't Andy's job to do anything about it because he wasn't a police officer at the time. Maybe it wasn't his job at the time to do anything, but if you get a call stating that someone is in prison for something they didn't do, maybe you should follow up. Or, maybe do the bare minimum. These people never think about how they would want things to be handled if they were on the other side of the coin. If the situation involved them, they never think about how they would want it to be handled. Andrew Colburn says in a 4-hour shift, he'd get generally 20 to 30 calls. That's why he didn't really think much about it and just transferred it off to a detective. But how many of those calls, honest question, how many of those calls were about someone that could possibly be wrongfully convicted? How many of those calls are regarding somebody that is in prison for a crime they didn't commit? Maybe it's every one. I don't know, but I can't imagine it's every single call. I can't imagine it happens very often at all. I write out what I'm going to say here as I watch the episode. I do it like a little script type thing of things I want to talk about, points I want to hit. I never watch ahead. I write these as they go. They are now talking about how the insurance company would have to cover the county. I mean, to me, that's pretty common sense stuff. Brenda talks about how the insurance company paid the $400K. I think of everybody that's interviewed in this series. I mean everyone from episode 1 to episode 5. Everybody that's been in it so far. Brenda comes across as the most disingenuous person so far in this documentary. And I don't know this person. I've never talked to this person and never had any interaction with this person whatsoever, so I could be way off. It could just be how she portrays herself on camera. I really don't know. But how she presents herself, in my opinion, on camera is very fake. It's a very, hey, look at me, I know everything, I want to be the star type of vibe I get from her watching her on camera talk about everything. She always has this weird grin on her face, like, I gotcha. It's very strange. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Andrew Colburn talks about how he was happy for Stephen Avery, how Stephen Avery was going to get paid that $36 million. It said that he didn't care about it at all, really, because the money wasn't coming from his bank account, and he seems like the type of person. Now, this isn't really a knock on him, just the impression I get from listening to Andrew Colburn talk over the years. He seems like the type of person that would do whatever you asked without questioning it, which probably makes him a very good friend and a very good employee. But it doesn't really work out for yourself in the long run, and is probably why he is in the situation he is, having to defend himself all of these years later. They talk about the original search of the garage and the property. They talk to the person that originally took the pictures and did some testing on the RAV4. They mention the burn barrels. They talk about the search when the key was found. Kratz says he was angry. It seems like, now, this is a cliffhanger. They got me. I wanted to know more. I was watching the time of how long was in the episode, and there was 2 minutes left, and I'm like, they are not clearing this up in this episode. Ken Kratz talks about, now this is what I think, talks about how he was angry when the key was found. I'm guessing he means by who found it and how long it took, maybe. Said he told Mark Weirgert and Thomas Fassbender that they just effed up his case. And that's where the episode ends. Very good episode. Very well done, very well made, very well put together. It's an excellent, content aside, it's very well done, very well put together. I am enjoying watching it. It's a very good story. Their story is very compelling. Whether you believe their story or not is another thing, but the story they're presenting and how they're presenting it is very compelling. It's very well done. I want to see the next episode of their story, and I guess I have to wait till next week. Let me know what you think. What did you think of episode 5 of Convicting a Murderer? Leave some comments below. Hope you're having a good day, and I will see you again soon.